We are actually going to start this morning with a tiny little bit of movement. It feels a little Tai Chi-ish, but I would suggest for one of the moves, if you have something like a block, just have a block nearby. So we're going to come up onto our feet. So Phil, you might need to pull the camera back a bit because we're coming up onto our feet. Phil didn't know we were doing this. Oh no, that's all right. I'm in the camera. Good. So let's come into Goddess Pose. You see, we're going to be doing Goddess Pose. So we want to have our feet kind of out at an angle, and then a little bend of the knees. And I just want you to ease yourself down. So a little movement of your shoulders, a little side to side. And really checking in with how your hips feel, how your spine feels, how your breath is, whatever kind of movement you can make. You might not want to have your legs so far apart to begin with. You might start with your feet a little closer. But then once you've warmed up, maybe sitting a little deeper, checking in that your knees are okay. This is Goddess Pose in regular forms of yoga, hatha forms of yoga. Goddess Pose. But we don't want to be stuck. We want to feel like we're fluid because the moon rules our fluid body, our moods, what moves in and out and up and down. Nice. Lovely. So then we're going to come back up, tuck our toes in, and come forward over our legs. So just taking your time. Now we want to be a little bit like seaweed as we fold over. So you could either take hold of your hands, or you might bend your knees, let your hands be on the floor, let your head be not heavy, moving a little side to side, undoing any tightness, tension, stress, worry in your neck. Seaweed. We have to be like seaweed here. In a nice calm movement of the waters. And then coming back to the center, we're going to straighten our legs. Now this is where a block might be handy to have underneath your left hand. At whatever height you need it, you could have it quite high up. We're going to turn the left toes out to the side. So it's a little bit like triangle pose. Left hand underneath the left shoulder. And then right arm reaches up towards the sky. So coming into a nice kind of open-hearted twist. But don't be too into the full-on effort. We want to still be quite fluid, soft. We're going to notice how that feels through the hips, through the legs. And then release. Nice and slowly coming down, tucking those left toes in and turning the right toes away and having your right hand on the floor underneath your shoulder, left arm reaches up. So it's quite enlivening for the inside of the legs. And again, try not to be like that it has to look like anything on the outside. It's really about how it feels through the spine, through the heart, into your breath. Nice, and then release. So left hand comes down, tuck the right toes in, and we're going to fold over and lift the arm up and back behind us. So it's quite gentle again. This is called dipping bird. So it's like you're putting your beak into the water and your wings are up behind you. But in a way we want to feel like there's a lovely energy between the hands behind us. Like we're holding a lovely energy ball. And then as we inhale, we're going to sweep up, keeping the energy between the hands, lifting the arms up over our heads. Lovely. And then coming forward again. So coming forward, arms come back behind, coming back into our dipping bird. Now, as we inhale, this time we're going to bend the knees to come up. Lift the arms. And take the arms out to the side. Press the energy away, the chi away into our goddess pose. As we inhale, we come up. And then we draw that energy down in front of the belly. The hara. Lovely. So just noticing how that movement of energy feels. Nice. So as we inhale, we're going to come into our goddess pose again. Take the arms in front, across, and out to the side. Now we straighten the legs, tuck the toes in, fold over. Take our left hand onto the floor, turn the left toes out, right arm reaches up towards the sky. So we're moving quite gently. And then releasing your right hand down, tucking that left toe in, right toes away, left arm reaches up towards the sky. And then release, left hand comes down, right toes in, and then lifting your arms up and back behind you for dipping bird. Inhaling straight legs, we come all the way up with that energy ball between the hands, all the way up over our head. Folding forward, coming into our dipping bird again. Hands behind, we still have that ball of energy behind us. Now we bend the knees and we come forward. Hands across and press that energy out through the palms. You might like a little bit of movement here. And we'll do that movement one more time. Inhaling, we come up. Nice. Folding over. Left foot away, left hand on the floor, right arm reaches up towards the sky. Noticing your spine. Coming back down, right hand on the floor, turning those right toes away. Left arm reaches up towards the sky. This is called elephant pose. So we have our trunk. And then the left hand comes down, right toes in. Dipping bird, arms up behind us. And then as we inhale, straight legs, so strong through the body. We've got that energy ball in front of us, lifting up over our heads. Folding forward, dipping bird again. Now bending your knees, feet out a little bit. That energy ball in front of us this time. Crossing the arms and pressing away through the palms. Lovely. We're going to come up ever so slightly, turn round over your left knee, tuck the right toes in, and bringing that energy ball round over that left knee, and then round behind us. Just a little twist, strong through the legs. Nice. And then as we inhale, we're going to come back, round through the middle, tuck the left toes in, turn the right toes away, and we're drawing that energy round in front of our hearts. And we keep going into a little twist, so you might even lift the left heel off the floor. It gives us a little bit more space in the hips. Inhaling, we come back to the center. Heel comes down, toes in. We come round one more time, lifting that back heel. We come into our twist. Nice. Now as we inhale, we're going to just come over that left knee. Let's take our hands to the earth. And some of you are going to swing the left leg up and back behind you into sort of three-legged downward facing dog. Inhaling, we're going to sweep that left foot forward between the hands. Slowly make our way back up. Come round to the right. We move nice and slowly. Turn those right toes away. Lift the left heel, find our twist. We come round to the side. We're going to feel that through the left side of the body. Nice. And then release, come back over that right knee. Hands come down to the earth. And then sweep that right leg up and back. Inhaling, sweeping the right foot forward between the hands. We come back up nice and slowly. Let's come round to the front. Coming into our goddess pose one more time. Taking our hands onto our knees. Lovely, a little movement side to side. Let's drop the right shoulder into the center. Look over the left elbow. And then as we inhale, we come back up. And exhaling. Left shoulder drops into the middle, turning to look over your right elbow. Nice. Inhaling, coming back up. Tucking your toes in, folding over your legs. Hands come underneath your shoulders. And let's step the right foot in, left foot in. Knees come down. Sitting on your heels. And let's take our hips to the right. And come into our first Yin Pose where we lean to the left. We drop the left shoulder. We move into a side lateral and a lengthening through the right side of the body. We check in with our breath, our energy. And that moon energy that we have stirred up, have it moving around our body. The lunar energy. So if the body invites you to come any further or deeper or change it ever so slightly, you could take your right hand to your left shoulder But when you do change anything, please do it with full awareness. Like, what happens? What changes? Does it enhance your experience of being in this particular shape? Or does it change it into something that just isn't right for you? If it's too much, then we just drop the hand back to where it was. There's nothing about, we don't need to get involved with over-analyzing or, make it simple. Is it right for me? Nice. So taking a nice deep breath in now. Staying where you are for your exhale. Maybe releasing the right hand down. And then we're going to take our left hand to the side of our head and actually push our head back up. So just let your left hand do the work, not your neck. Just notice how that feels for the spine coming back together again. It's like it's all been knitted back together. And then releasing your hand. And let's come on to all fours for a moment. So hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And rather than shaking anything away, just please notice how that feels to be still. How it feels for the right side of the body, the left side of the body. This is still an important part of that pose that we created. We haven't finished yet. Nice. So let's come on to the other side now. So we're going to sit to the left of our heels. So we take hold of our right ankle with our right hand, and we're going to slowly drop the right shoulder down towards the feet, just enough to feel that into the left side of the body. These moves are really quite kind of tiny. The important thing is that we close our eyes really so that we notice how it feels, because how it feels is the area of interest. So we have this lovely opportunity to check in with the spine. And really, I always liken it to having a very loving conversation with your body. What part of your body wants your attention at the moment? And what does that conversation feel like? Can we be compassionate? Are we dealing with injuries or pain or discomfort that's been there for a long time? Can we just kind of bump up against that edginess and say hello to it without pushing through? If anything, back up a little if you need to. We can always go in reverse, Noticing where your head is, which sounds like your actual physical head. How does it feel for your neck? Has your chin kind of, are you looking up towards the sky, or can you turn to look a little towards the earth? How is the placement of your head? Our heads are quite heavy, so we need to be just conscious really of where our heads are physically, as well as all the thoughts, emotions. So maybe taking your left hand to your right shoulder. Does that add anything? Does that enhance anything? What does it change? Lovely. So again, releasing that left hand now, we're going to take our right hand to the side of our head and slowly, carefully pushing your head back up, taking your time. Being really fascinated in a way. How does that feel? Like, oh. Lovely. And then again from there we're going to come onto our hands and knees. So hands underneath. So you might need to move very slowly. Don't be in any too much of a rush. Moving out of these shapes, we can feel quite fragile in and around our joints. So, be mindful of that sense of being fragile. Lovely. So from here we're going to come onto our belly into Sphinx Pose. So coming down onto your elbows, onto your belly. And the elbows are underneath the shoulders, but then we just slide them forward just a little bit so that not too much at a right angle. And that just allows the shoulders to soften. And then closing your eyes. And now remembering that we need to really soften the hips, soften the legs. So we're not doing any musculature action here. There's no squeezing of the glutes or anything. And we're lengthening in through the front of the body. And our kidneys are getting a nice healthy squeeze. So beginning to take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, nice and slowly taking your elbows out to the side, making your way down onto the earth. Try not to wiggle the hips, just allow yourself to breathe into the back of the body. Nice. And we'll take our hands underneath our shoulders now and make our way up and into the wide-kneed child's pose for a moment. So the knees come nice and wide, big toes touch, sit the hips back towards the heels, reach the arms away, forehead touches down. It's like a lovely counter stretch. Nice. So as we inhale, let's make our way back up. And we're going to come onto our back. And come into a pose called thread the needle. So it's quite good for our hips, for our lower back. So just first of all, take the soles of the feet onto the floor. Just make sure your spine is nice and straight. You're even through the shoulders, your neck. Anything that's kind of making you a little off balance, change it around. Make sure that you're in the right shape rather than adjusting for something that you might have around you. And then let's take the right ankle on top of the left knee and bring that left knee in towards us. So there's various ways to do the arms and the hands. You could take your right arm through the gap, hold behind the knee. You could use a belt, like a dressing gown, tie. Maybe the right hand comes up and over this foot and holds on to the outside of the knee that way. Or maybe your hands come around your shin bones, but just check in that the spine stays nice and straight, doesn't go off at a funny angle, and then chin in towards the chest, the shoulders are on the floor, and then we kind of soften into this shape. We don't want to be active with the muscles. We want our breath to be our focus. Once we have kind of settled into the feeling of this shape, where do we feel it? What's happening? How is my breath? Am I here? If I'm not here, where am I? Okay, so beginning to take a nice deep breath in. And exhaling, slowly releasing your left foot to the floor, the right foot to the floor. And we're going to straighten the legs out along the mat. Lift our arms up over our heads, giving ourselves a nice stretch. Okay, and then releasing, and let's bend the right knee so the sole of the foot comes onto the floor, and then that left ankle across the top of that right knee. And we'll come into the other side, thread the needle, whatever is right for you, especially to start with. You know, remembering that we have to start somewhere, and we have to remind ourselves that the beginning is a good place to start. You know, if we start at the beginning, then we have somewhere to kind of move towards. Whereas if we start at the end shape, then we're kind of in a little bit of a battle. And it's harder for everything to relax and soften. So just taking your time, noticing where you feel this. How is it any different to the other side? Is the spine nice and straight? Are the shoulders relaxed? Is your neck nice and long? Is the back of your head on the earth? How is your breath? And what is coming up? What types of emotions are coming up? Lovely. So beginning to take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, we'll slowly start to undo our hold. Let the right foot come down, left foot comes down, and then reaching the legs away, lifting your arms up over your head, giving yourself a nice stretch. Lovely, and then drawing your arms back in, bring your knees in towards your chest, giving your knees a nice big hug. And we're going to come up to sit. So either you come onto your side or a little rock up. And we're going to come into our butterfly pose. So maybe sitting on something. A rolled up blanket is good. Doesn't need to be up too high. It just gives the kind of the hips, the pelvic region a little somewhere to go, because sometimes there isn't enough space for the spine to kind of not be, we don't want to round back. So chin in towards the chest. Now, of course, if you need something underneath your legs, you can always use a little support underneath your legs, and just make sure your feet are further away from you in this kind of nice big diamond shape, long-legged butterfly. Chin in towards the chest, rounding your back, slowly making your way down, whatever that is for you. So some people will be quite upright, and that's fine. As long as we have good intentions for this shape, we're not pulling, we're not looking for progress in a way. We want to soften away from that, and we're just going to allow our bodies to be in the shape they're in, with this lovely pull on the back of the body. So into the lower back, into the hips. And make sure there's no pinching anywhere. Head is quite heavy here. If you need to support your head, of course, you can always use your hands to support your head. Again, we just allow ourselves to start at the beginning. Not try and push past anything, not try to make it look like anything. Just allow it to be about your breath, your spine. There's plenty happening in the body. Lovely. So before we come out of this shape, again, just taking your time to notice if anything feels like it's changed. And then slowly taking your hands onto the earth as we push ourselves back up, nice and slowly, taking your time. So really the strength is in your arms and your hands, rather than the spine doing all the work. Drawing your knees together, And then coming down onto the ground, if you were lifted up a bit, straightening your legs, taking your hands behind you, a little lift of the chest, noticing how that feels for your hips, your lower back, your spine, your legs, your knees, your ankles. Lovely. And then coming down onto your back. If you have a block, and we're going to do Golden Gate Bridge pose. If you don't have a block, then another option is to have kind of a rolled up blanket. Let me just grab my block. So to come into this shape, we have the knees bent, soles of the feet to the floor. And then pressing down through the feet, you're going to slide your block underneath your hips, but on its lowest height. So this lowest level. There's different levels, but we really want it to be the lowest level. Unless you're choosing to come into something like supported bridge pose, which is an option. You could come into supported bridge pose on the higher level, but if you do that, just keep your knees bent and the soles of the feet on the floor. So you're not straightening your legs if the block is any higher. So if it's on its lowest level, Golden Gate Bridge is where we straighten the legs out. So you really need to make sure it's right underneath your sacrum, the very lowest, the very bottom of the spine, so that there's no effort in the legs here. The legs are very relaxed, arms out to the side, palms facing up. There's no squeezing, there's no kind of, that block isn't up against the lower back at all. There's plenty of space. And then there's a nice softening for the shoulders. Lovely. So beginning to take a nice deep breath in now. Just noticing the quality of your own thoughts. Where you perhaps went to. this inner practice is so rich of teachings, but only you can experience that and notice and kind of unravel and undo and work out in a way what needs to just be put aside for a little while. What is it you need to focus on? But that takes practice, just like working with our bodies takes practice. Working with our minds takes practice. We show up for ourselves. So we're going to slowly take ourselves out of this shape. So if you're in the supported bridge variation, you would just press down through the feet. If you're in this Golden Gate bridge, we would bend the knees and now press down through the feet. Now we have to be just very aware of how that feels. Sometimes it can feel very, very tender. Lowering your spine towards the earth. Nice. If you feel like you would like to bring your knees in towards your chest and give your knees a big hug, you can do that. Maybe one knee at a time. But not with the idea of shaking anything away. Just doing a reset. And then when you're ready, coming into Shavasana, pentacle really, we call it Yin. So taking your legs nice and wide, arms out to the side. Of course, you could always have something underneath your knees, or if that just doesn't feel right for you, you could have your knees bent, feet a little wider, knees resting in towards one another. Or of course, you could come onto your side. And it's kind of nicer to be on your left side. Or, of course, you can Shavasana can be done on the belly. So, doing something that feels safe for you, secure, like a peace offering. And allowing yourself to really drop down into Shavasana, reminding yourself, that you have the earth there underneath you, holding you, supporting you. You can let go. Breathing smoothly. Allowing yourself really to receive your practice. Lovely. So beginning to take a nice deep breath into your body. As you slowly start to move your fingers and your toes, your ankles and your wrists. And drawing your legs together, lifting your arms up over your head, giving yourself a nice long stretch. Drawing your knees in towards you, giving your knees a nice big hug. And then rolling over onto your right side, rolled into a ball. Pressing into the earth with your left hand to come up to sit. In a nice comfortable seated position, Sukhasana, pose of ease. Resting your hands on your knees. Maybe you're placing up. We come back to that sense of there being energy kind of in and around us. And when we have our palms up, this gesture of receiving and giving in equal measure. We close our practice with sharing of 3 Oms, allowing it to really be a vibration from your heart that you rest in. The 4th part of an Om is the phase that we rest in. So we rest in that vibration that we create. So taking a nice deep breath in. And drawing your hands in front of your heart as we bow in gratitude, in thanks to our bodies, our breath, and our minds and our hearts for serving us so well. And also thanks and gratitude to the energy from the moon, the different phases, the energy from the sun, that lovely, amazing, vibrant energy full of vitality that we are so ready for. Take time to set your intention for the next month and really allow it to be steeped, marinated in compassion. Thank you for joining me this morning. Namaste. Namaste.